Today you will learn one of the most important things in C++ programming, and that is Boolean expressions. Now, Boolean expressions are used when in any place where something will evaluate to true or false. So, for example, if you're using an if operator, or sorry, an if statement, you will say if a certain condition is true or evaluates to true, then run a piece of code. Otherwise, run a different piece of code. And that's pretty much it. It sounds quite simple, but it can get quite complex. So today what I will do is show you a simple example and take you through some of the complexities of that, and by the end of it you can use that in your own programs. So let's get started. I've prepared a program here, simple program. So we're using IOStream to output to the screen. We've got our int main, as all C++ programs have. We've declared two numbers, number 1 and number 2, and given them both a value of 10. And here we have an if statement. If number 1 equals number 2, then we've got an output string here, so our expression evaluates to true, and finally at the end it outputs exiting. So really this is the tricky bit for a beginner anyway. So an if statement, basically, or its structure is if put your expression in there, then do something. That's pretty much it. So if your expression evaluates to true, then whatever's in here will be run. If your expression evaluates to false, then this will not be run, and the program will carry on from this point here and just execute whatever code is down here. So in our case down here, we've got our expression involves two sides, a left side and a right side. So if number 1 equals number 2, then run this piece of code. And when you're finished that, carry on and run this. So does this expression evaluate to true, or does it evaluate to false? So let's take a look at that. So number 1 equals 10. So this is like saying 10. So we could, in theory, place that with 10. And does 10 equal number 2, which also, as we can see up here, is also number 10. So that's like saying if 10 equals 10, then run this piece of code. So let's go back to what we've called them using our variables. So if you haven't already figured out, equals equals means compare the two sides. So compare the left side with the right side for equality. And there are other comparison operators. So there's greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or this means not equal to. Anyway, for our case we're just using equals. So if number 1 equals number 2, then let's run this piece of code. So let's build that and give it a try, run it. Okay. Yes, it's called a.exe, so run that. Our expression evaluates to true. So we kind of knew that was going to happen because 10 equals 10. So let's try it when number 2 is 20. So in this case, this will evaluate to false. This will not be executed, and it will just come down here and run that. So let's try that. There you can see it. Just says exiting. It doesn't print out our expression evaluates to true. So to alter this, we could say something like, is number 1 less than number 2? Let's try that. Whoops. A. Our expression evaluates to true. So that's correct. Let's try that. If number 1 is greater than number 2, we know it's not, so we would expect this not to be printed out. Whoop, sorry, I have to build it. That didn't work. What's going on? Oh, I didn't save the file. Ha. Now let's try that again. There we go. Just says exiting. Okay. Now let's introduce some sort of complexity to this. Let's introduce another number. So let's call it number 3. We'll initially set its value to number to 20. And okay, what we're going to do with this is we're going to create another expression for our if statement, and we will use number 2 and number 3 this time. So let's say 2 whoops equals 3. Let's go back to this. I'll change that to 10 and that to 20. Actually, for ease of everything, I'll change them all to 10. So what we have here is 2 expressions. We've got number 1, does number 1 equal number 2? And number 2 equal number 3. So what that means is, does this left side evaluate to true and this right side evaluate to true? And because we're using an AND operator, that's a new operator, if both sides are equal to true, then the result will be true and our if statement will be true, and this expression or this statement will be run. So let's introduce a bit of theory now. So if we come down here, this double ampersand is a Boolean AND operator. So I've done a little truth table, that's what they call them. So this is what it looks like. So if the left side is true and the right side is true, then the result will be true. So this is what we have here. So if number 1 equals number 2, in our case it's true, and number 2 equals number 3, so 10 equals 10, then that equals true. And because both sides are true, then the overall result will be true, and in our case this will be printed out. We'll run that in a second. For completeness, let's go through the other cases of the AND operator. So if our left side is true and the right side is false, then the result will be false. If the left side is false and the right side is true, then the result is going to be false. And if the left side and the right side are false, the result is going to be false. So when you're using the AND operator, both sides have to be true for the overall result to be true. So in our case here, both sides are true. So let's give that a run. Yep, that works. Okay, just to prove our point, let's demonstrate this example here. So the first side is true, and the left side is true, and the right side is false. So let's change that to 20. So we know now that this number 2 does not equal number 3. Let's build that. And it only prints exiting. Okay, that's the ampersand operator. There is another operator called the OR operator. So let's introduce that here. So it's similar structure to the AND operator, except the result is different. So to quickly go over it, if the left side is true and the right side is true, the result will be true. Now that's the same as the AND operator. Now this is where it differs. If the left side is true and the right side is false, the result will be true. If the left side is true and the right side, if the left side is false and the right side is true, the result will be true. And that's different as well. Those two are different. And finally, if both sides are false, the result will be false. So you can think of the operator as one of the sides, one of the left or right sides must be true for the overall result to be true. Whereas the AND operator is both sides must be true for the overall result to be true. So let's have a look up here. So we've got number 1 equal number 2. We know that's true. Number 2 equals number 3. We know that's false. So we would expect the result here to be, the overall result to be true and this to be printed out. So let's give that a try. Build that. Our expression evaluates to true. And you can try these other examples yourself with both equal true, both equal false, etc., etc. Now, just while we're on the subject of using the if statement, there's another part of the if statement called the else side. So you can do this. So this is used when the overall result up here is false. So if we go back to our AND, so that's true, that's false, so we know our overall result will be false and this code in here will not be run. So in the case of an if with an else statement, if the first section is not run, then it will go into the second section. So in here, let's put our expression evaluates to false. So in this example, we would expect it to run this code and not this code up here. So let's save that and run it. Our expression evaluates to false, and there you go. So just for completeness, we can say all the values are 10, so that means this will result to true, or the expression will evaluate to true, so that will be run and this will not be run. Our expression evaluates to true. And there you go. Okay, I hope you kept up with that. It was a bit dry, but it's well worth knowing. You'll use it in all your programs. In fact, you'll use it everywhere, and after a while you'll use it without thinking. It's well worth knowing all of that, and it'll just become second nature. So I'd recommend you like, subscribe to the video, and if you have any comments, please write them below, and if you have any questions, again put them down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And see you in the next video.